Hey everybody, Jake here. Welcome back to Dude Ranch DIY. Today we are in the wood yard for the first time in quite some time. All the snow and ice is finally starting to melt. We have a muddy mess around the property, but we have a bunch of trees back here, little trees that Chris and I cut down in one of our last videos, and today we're going to use them to do a mini chainsaw shootout. As you can see here in front of me, I have the Milwaukee Fuel Hatchet, they call it, which is a battery-powered chainsaw, as well as the Taranzi, I think that's how you pronounce it, mini handheld chainsaw. I'm going to be totally honest, I got sent this via the Taranzi company. They reached out to me to see if I would be interested in doing a video with it, and I figured, you know, it's well within the realm of, what we do here on the channel. I already have the Milwaukee one, so I figured we'd put the Milwaukee and the Taranzi mini chainsaw to the test here today in the wood yard. Before we get started, I want to welcome any new subscribers and thank any old subscribers for coming back. I know it's been about a week, maybe a little bit more than a week since I posted my last video. We've had a lot going on around here between weather and family stuff going on. So thank you for tuning in and sticking around, and we're gonna get right to it here. Okay guys, so like I said, we're gonna be doing a little comparison here between the Milwaukee Hatchet, it's a Fuel, the M12 Fuel, versus the Taranzi, or not versus, but just compared to the Taranzi 21 lithium ion mini pruning saw here. Now these are, I'd roughly put them in the same category, but the first thing everybody wants to know is price. Now the Taranzi comes in with this whole kit. You buy it as a kit, you're not buying the tool and the battery separate, like I'm sure a lot of you know with Milwaukee and DeWalt and stuff like that, with the bigger name brand tools. This saw comes with the saw, one battery, two batteries, comes with a charger, it comes with a spare chain, comes with a pair of gloves, eye protection, and a screwdriver to adjust the tension of the chain, as well as a little bottle, a squirt bottle to fill up with bar oil to lubricate the chain. Now the Milwaukee, if you already have the fleet or a host of Milwaukee tools with these batteries, you can just buy the tool, and I believe the tool comes in at about $190 for just the tool, no charger, no battery. If you want to buy the whole kit that comes with the tool, a battery, and the charger, I believe it's somewhere around $290 to $300. So quite a bit more compared to this little guy here. Just holding the two of them, the Milwaukee is much heavier. Now granted, I do have a 6 amp hour battery in here. That's actually the smallest battery that I have of this style that kind of fits into the Hatchet here. So it's a little bit of an unfair advantage or comparison in weight, because this one will weigh a little bit more, but just the two tools themselves without the batteries, I was holding them before, and this one is much lighter. You'll notice that this one has a guard of sorts on top that is spring-loaded, and I'm assuming that that's to prevent it from, coming back and possibly cutting your other hand or something. This one is designed to be used for one-handed operation. It has a lock and unlock switch here, so when you unlock it, you can pull the trigger, and then you lock it, and you can't pull it. Very similar to changing the directions on a drill. Whereas the Milwaukee has a very similar mechanism here. You can push it both ways, however. So when you're not touching it at all, it is locked. I can't pull the trigger. However, if you're left-handed or right-handed, you can push that button either way. You push it and pull, and you can let go, and the chain will start spinning. So that is kind of nice that it's good for, both left and right-handed people. And the other big difference is that the Milwaukee is designed to be used with two hands. Now, I do use it one-handed. I wouldn't recommend it at home. It does tend to kick back a little bit. It's definitely a little bit dangerous. But it is, in the manual it specifies that it should be used with two hands at all times, which is why this guard is here, and there's even a little divot here for your thumb to go in, whether you're left or right-handed, so you can have more control over the saw. So one-handed operation, two-handed operation. I don't even think really if you wanted to, you could use two hands on this. There's nowhere to really put your second hand except maybe on the battery, kind of like this. But you know, it kind of is what it is. It's got a wrist strap here, whereas the Milwaukee does not really have any way to strap it to yourself. However, when I do climb with this saw, because I do climb with this and prune trees with it, I just put a carabiner around here and attach it to my climbing saddle. So like I said, they both look, you know, pretty good. Obviously, I've used the Milwaukee a heck of a lot. I've never used this thing. It doesn't have a speck of sawdust on it. But the only other thing that I notice is the chain size. The Milwaukee has a more standard chain size compared to the Taranzi here. This is a much smaller file, so I would need to actually get some new files. Whereas on this one, I just use my .325 file, and it works great. It's the same size chain as my topping saw chains, my climbing saws. So oh, the other big thing is that the Milwaukee does have a bar oil reservoir right here, whereas the Taranzi does not. It says in the manual that you should, you know, use this, or if you just have a thing of bar oil, to lubricate it manually. At first I thought that this screw was a reservoir for oil, but it is not. That's to take off the bar and to be able to sharpen the chain on it. So without talking too much more, we're gonna get into it. I have these trees over here. I wanna cut them up. They're just little saplings, little maples that Chris and I cut down in a video in the past. So we're gonna use the two and see how they work. All right, guys, so as you can see, I got all these little maple saplings here. So I'm gonna start out with the Taranzi. I'm using a 2 amp hour, 21 volt lithium ion battery here, and it is fully charged. So we're gonna go ahead and give this thing a shot. It is unlocked. We're ready to go. Cut through that really well, surprisingly well. Now again, this thing, it seems like it's designed to be used one-handed. So I'm kind of just holding these branches here and, you know, with my other hand, making the cut. You can see, I mean, this is birch and this is sugar maple, and, you know, it has no problem going through these pieces. Now, granted, these are smaller. We will start working our way down the tree and cutting up some bigger pieces shortly. So now I have the hatchet, and we're just gonna do another little quick comparison here with this. So I'll show you it making a couple of these cuts. Here we go. Okay guys, so we cut out most of the brush or the tops of these. Now I have a trunk here of sugar maple. I'd call this about a 2-inch diameter piece. It's about the size of my thumb. So we're just gonna put the Milwaukee and the Taranzi saw to the test here on some sugar maple, just cutting up some cookies. So here we go. The Taranzi seems to have a higher like chain speed. Now my Milwaukee here is fully charged as well. You can actually see the battery indicator there. So when I push it, all 4 are lit up. So let's see how the Milwaukee does. Now, without doing any timing or anything, I'd say that the Taranzi actually cut through that sugar maple faster. Now, I'm not sure if that's due to the smaller chain width, so it's moving a little bit faster, but it does pretty well. Let's do another one. So after doing the little bit of cutting that you just saw me do, I gotta say, I am impressed with this little thing. I'm gonna keep using it to finish cutting up all this brush and stack it up over here by the burn barrel, but it's much lighter than the Milwaukee. You can see just in size, it's much smaller, it's like daintier, which is kind of nice for doing little stuff like this. I'd be interested to see how it does if I were to climb with it and over extended periods of use and lots of, larger cuts. We're gonna try and find some larger pieces to kind of max out the two of them and see how they do in cutting. But I'm gonna finish cutting up all this brush here first, get it stacked up next to the burn barrel for next time. Okay guys, so I just finished cutting up that sugar maple little sapling that we had on the table here. I did it all with the Taranzi. It worked really well. Still going, chain speed is real fast, doesn't show any signs of losing power. I cut up all the brush and stacked it up into a pile over there. So now we're going to attack the wood here, which I think will be a bit more of a battery drainer. But I gotta say, I didn't really, when I first saw this thing and picked it up and held it in my hand, compared to the Milwaukee, it's quite a different feeling. It's much lighter. You've never heard of the name Taranzi before, especially compared to a Milwaukee, but I gotta say, I am very impressed with it so far. We'll see how it holds up over time, but I think for a homeowner, somebody not looking to spend a lot of money, but somebody that sees this video or sees these tools and just has to have one, if you don't have the Milwaukee fleet of tools and the batteries and stuff, the Milwaukee option can be kind of expensive, especially for something that you probably won't use every day. So the Taranzi, I would definitely recommend so far as a good option, but let's see how it does cutting up the rest of these sapling trees right here. So I said I wanted to max out its cutting capacity, and I think this log is just about there. It's about 5, maybe 5.5 inches. So we're gonna see how this puppy does. Let's see. We're gonna cut a cookie off the end to get the full diameter, and then we'll just go down and make little campfire logs. Okay, so it just stopped there. Keep in mind, I'm not really pushing down here at all. I'm just letting the saw cut through. And obviously, like I said, this is on the much larger end of the scale. It's not really designed to be cutting 6-inch logs. But let's see how we can get through this. All right, we got that off. So Taranzi does not like big wood. Now, as you can see here, the chain has definitely starting to loosen up. So I'm just gonna do a cut with the Milwaukee for comparison here. We'll see how it does. So Milwaukee, I'd give that one to the Milwaukee hatchet. Definitely went through that larger wood a bit easier. But again, you know, neither of these are really designed to be going through wood that's of this size. You know, I'd say this is probably good for like 3-inch and down. It's really just a little hand pruning saw. And one thing that I have noticed is that it has a little light there, which is kind of nice. The Milwaukee doesn't have a light like a work light. It does have the battery indicator light, which would be nice to see on this, but just a little observation that I made. Well, all right, guys, I think that's gonna about wrap up this little comparison here between the Milwaukee M12 hatchet and the Taranzi 6-inch handheld pruning saw. Both good tools. I think they both kind of have like, although they're very similar, I think they kind of have different markets. I think if you're somebody with the host of Milwaukee tools and you want to buy a name brand product that has, you know, availability for larger batteries for longer runtime, and you don't mind spending a little bit more, I think the Milwaukee might be the tool for you. If you're a homeowner just looking to do some small, you know, azalea pruning or prune your rhododendrons back once every couple of years and making some small cuts on branches that might fall down your yard for kindling to start your fires, the Taranzi might be a good option for you if you don't already have that expensive fleet of Milwaukee batteries and chargers and stuff. You can get this whole kit, 2 batteries, extra chain, the tool, the carrying case, everything that I stated in the beginning of the video for 90 bucks. So if you're just going to be doing a little bit of cutting here and there, I think this is a great option. You don't have to make that big $300 plunge to get a name brand tool when this thing will, you know, do its job. Now, me as a professional arborist and tree climber, like I said, I have climbed with this Milwaukee hatchet before when I'm pruning trees. I've pruned several sugar maple trees with this saw on one particular job. And like I said, I just kind of clipped it onto my saddle and it did great. It was much lighter than my topping saw, which comes in at around 12 pounds or 10 pounds. I'm sorry. This thing might weigh, you know, 5 or 6 pounds, which that makes a big difference. I don't know if I would want to take this Taranzi up in the tree with me. Just one, because there isn't really a great place to hang it by. I guess I could hang it from this little webbing strap here, but I don't know. It's just kind of, it comes across to me as more of like a homeowner use every once in a while kind of tool rather than consistent use hour over hour, cut after cut. Whereas I know I could bring the Milwaukee up in the tree because I have before, and I can make cut after cut, prune after prune, and the only thing I might need to change out is the battery pack. So that's going to wrap up this one. I will put a link to this Taranzi down in the description below with all of my other tools that I've used on the channel. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but this company did reach out to me. They asked me to do a little bit of a review with it, play around with it, and see how I liked it. And overall, I can't really say anything bad about it. It's a good product. I think it's just geared more towards the homeowner and, you know, occasional use, like I said. So if you enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you for checking out the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Consider hitting that subscribe button down below if you haven't already. Any questions, comments, or feedback on either of these tools here, I'd be happy to answer any questions down in the comment section below. But for now, I'm Jake. This is Dude Ranch DIY. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you here next time.